Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the ISO Review Podcast, a production of Simplify ISO. The ISO Review Podcast shares the latest international standards development and is your resource for getting the most out of your management systems. As a coach and a consultant, I have had the pleasure over the years of working with ISO management system professional Jim Moran, who is now celebrating his 33rd year delivering ISO support as a co-host here on the ISO Review Podcast. So Jim is the expert. I feel like I'm the navigator. Jim tells us where we're going to go, what we're going to do, and I just make sure we get there. But it's been a pleasure to support him and Simplify ISO and create this wonderful podcast. And Jim, we're going to do something special today for our listeners, and I'm excited of this little journey we're going to go on, because we're actually going to use this video of the recording that we're doing for this podcast. So, exciting day for us. How are you doing?
Well, it's a brand new day, Howard, and we're finally starting to warm up a bit here in Ottawa, in Canada, and the rain was around all weekend, but it is going to really benefit the plants. So just as you and I are springing forth with a new idea for a few podcasts, nature is in harmony with us for sure.
I love it. We've had 100-degree days out here in the Las Vegas Valley, and I was out and about, and I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a hot one this year, but who knows? That might change. You never know.
Yeah, there have been changing weather patterns for a long time. Who knows why? But a lot of people have their theories, and we have a theory ourselves, Howard, that people can actually do ISO management systems. Well, we'll talk about ISO 9001 specifically, but they can do them. They can do it themselves,
and I think that's great. And it's no small feat to set down that path to become ISO certified. But I know with your experience and over the years, you've developed approaches, and that's one of the purposes of Simplify ISO, is to simplify this process. And now we're going down that path and making it even more efficient. So I'm excited today.
Well, we're going to start today with explaining why this whole platform of ours exists, the software. And by the way, you don't have to use our software, but it really does make life in the world of ISO really easy and simple. But I'll tell everybody why we tried this and how it's grown, and then give people an opportunity to find out a little bit more about it. We'll probably do another episode on actually building your own ISO, in this case, 9001 system, but it works for every standard. And then maybe another episode on how you get certified.
Okay.
So we'll start with the basics, why it's here. Then we'll go on to how you actually do it in another episode. That might even be a couple of episodes. And then finally, we'll explain to everybody what they have to do to actually get the certificate to hang on their wall.
Okay. Now, before we hit go and begin this little journey, I do want to emphasize for our listeners, we're going to have a link to the video of this episode up on Jim's website. And it's important that you listen to the episode, but also to view it, because we're going to use the video in addition to the audio. So having the visual aspect of it is going to be very important. So we'll provide the backlinks, and we'll call those out during the episode and in our show notes as well. Okay.
Thanks, Howard. So a lot of companies out there have big, expensive software packages. And a friend of ex-partner, Bruce Spur and I, about 12 years ago, and you know Bruce yourself, I think he introduced us, in fact.
Yes, he did.
So Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yes, wherever you are. I think he's in Michigan now, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Anyhow, so Bruce was looking for a way to, or looking for something to distribute. He likes to distribute things and help people make their lives better and so on and so forth. And my first idea, since I'm a teacher, trainer, you might say, master's degree in education, that kind of stuff, I thought I could make my fortune selling training videos online. And it turns out it's an incredibly um, vast world, training videos for ISO topics, and there are thousands of companies like I would have been out there selling this stuff, and anybody who needs any training courses, I have to tell you, they're very easy to find and quite reasonably priced in many cases. Anyhow, I did a half a dozen courses, or 7, I guess, on the International Management System Institute. There's training there you can take and get certificates, get in touch with me after for the certificates and so on. And he wasn't that interested in selling training because it's such a tough business to be in. But I mentioned to him that I had created a software package for businesses to use to keep track of all the documents they have to have for ISO
Mhm.
and all the records. There's in ISO 9001, for example, there are 23 records you have to keep. And you can have more. Most companies have lots more than that, but at least to get certified, you need these records. So
Mhm.
it's a bit of a pain making databases up and all that stuff. And I had maybe back in the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, 2005, I had used to have a website that had tips for how to do better PowerPoint. It doesn't exist any longer, but it was called If Aristotle Used PowerPoint. And and I based it on Cliff Atkinson's work, Nancy Duarte's work and so on, and how to do really good PowerPoint. Probably all of our listeners have heard or experienced the phrase death by PowerPoint.
Right.
Those slides you get with 10 bullets and just way too much text and so on. So anyhow, I was using this WordPress software to do this blog. And it dawned on me that this could be a perfect platform for people to keep all their ISO documentation in one place. And I found out later you can build forms with a plugin called Formidable.
Mhm.
And there's just tons of stuff you can do. One of our clients has built their website from 2 gigabytes to 7 gigabytes, and there's not much you can't do. There are some limitations, but not very many. And the other thing that kind of was the seed for this, Howard, were 2 studies that were done on problems that people have with ISO certification.
Mhm.
And the first one was in 1996. I was training manager for a registrar in Canada called the Quality Management Institute. They were subsequently bought by SAI Global, and then SAI Global was bought by Intertech. So they got
Mhm.
swallowed up twice. And it was in 96. They looked at 9,000 audits to see where people were he where the patterns were where people were having nonconformances or typical nonconformances. So it turned out the 3 major areas were document control, no surprise there,
Mhm.
not closing out nonconformances, or doing a weak root cause analysis. And then the last one was audits. A couple of things were happening. People were missing audits, or they weren't doing thorough audits, or the nonconformances or opportunities for improvement that they found during the audits weren't getting put into their corrective action process. So 20 years went by, and that was 96. 20 years went by. It's now 2016. And I'd been working for about 10 or 12 years with BSI here in Ottawa. And they did a similar study to say, where are all the nonconformances happen? Although instead of 9,000, they did 250,000 audits.
Mhm.
So it was a pretty decent sample size. They have 80,000 or 90,000 clients. They looked at 3 years worth of audits and started looking for patterns. And unbelievably, 20 years of improvement in automation with word processing and all that stuff, storage, electronics. You may be surprised to learn that it was exactly the same three categories. The first one was document control, especially in companies that did design.
Mhm.
Document control, not closing out nonconformances was the second part. And then finally, same as before, 20 years earlier, issues with auditing, either not doing them on time, not completing them fully enough to learn anything from, or not getting anything they found into their corrective action or their improvement activity, clause 10. So that was what we focused on when we built this platform, designed it for anybody who wanted to become ISO certified. And as I mentioned, works for every standard. We've got one client with 9,001, 14,001, 45,001, and we're just finishing up 27,001 information security management system. So again, you can expand it as far as you like. I'm pretty sure Wall Street Journal uses WordPress for one of their divisions. And it's open source, so you can get anybody to help you. You can do it yourself. You can hire it. So that we felt that we had found some way to help as many people as we can. And that's why we kept the price so low. It's a 79.95 Canadian, and
Mhm.
which is, let's see, probably around 6,000 US, something like that,
Okay.
59.95, something in that range. And it's 295 Canadian a month, which is about 200 US a month. So we wanted to make it available to as many companies as we could. And I think both in Canada and the US, 97% of the registered corporations have fewer than 100 people.
Mhm.
And I've estimated that of those 97%, 80% of those have fewer than 50 people. So that's who we're aimed at, is just smallish companies. I have clients with 3 full-time people. I also have clients with 300, but the clients with three have found it so simple to use that
Mhm.
they're able to stay certified, get certified, and stay certified. So with that in mind, we can certainly talk about the structure, but the exciting thing that has happened in the last month or so, maybe 2 months, is that we've created this, what we call do it yourself ISO 9001 program. And you're going to make a link to it on our website, the Simplify ISO website.
Right.
But basically, I meet, it's not quite 100% do it yourself. I meet with the clients once or twice a month to
Mhm.
see how they're making out. But recently, we've been able to build in artificial intelligence as a tool to help any one of our customers, any one of our clients, build their own management systems specific to their own organization. So it's not generic. It's you tell AI exactly what kind of work you do, how big you are, where you're located, so they can figure out what laws apply and things, everything, like to get you a fully complete up and running management system.
That's exciting. And in my coaching practice, I work with a lot of folks who are either looking to advance their careers, looking for additional certifications. Some individuals have lost their jobs and they are looking for their next work to do as a professional. And a lot of the folks that are in the quality management space, I think this DIY is a great segue or for them to use a tool like this or to get certified in using a tool like this, because now they can build, I was looking at it as they can perhaps build a book of business that
Mhm.
they can then perhaps not have to worry about being employed by company Acme Incorporated,
Yep.
because depending on where Acme Incorporated is, there could be a layoff next year, could be a
Mhm.
layoff next month, whereas they can build a certification and continue to serve other customers who are clients who need this kind of work. And
Mhm.
it's a great way to, again, build a book of business as, say, like a quote unquote solo entrepreneur or a side hustle, perhaps.
Oh, sure. Either way. And if the people who are thinking about this take, for example, a lead auditor course from a registrar, BSI has for an lead auditor course, a couple $1,000 Canadian. That would give them a lot of background on how to use this tool in terms of what to build into the management system for their client. And of course, the other interesting thing is that it helps someone in that position you just described. They can create kind of an ongoing passive revenue from selling the site for us, but under their name. It can be white labeled. So anyone who's listening that has wanted to ever get into a business, this could certainly be something to look at, to
Okay.
consider anyway. So back to the sort of original intent, we wanted to make it affordable for as many people as we could. And also the templates, I've seen template programs out there where you pay 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or $20,000 for a package. And then you just go into the system and change the name from template to your company name. And now you've got a management system that looks like the standard instead of a management system that looks like how you run your business. So we start out with the context, that's clause 4, interested parties, the scope, that's all in clause 4. The interested parties is clause 4.2, scope is clause 4.3. Then in clause 4.4, the standard requires that you identify the processes you need in your management system to reach your goals, which is obviously satisfy customers, number one, but other quality objectives as well. That's in clause 6.2. But there's a requirement, clause 4.4.1a and b, that requires that you identify the processes you need, as I just mentioned, and show their interaction. So our package comes with a free to use flowcharting software called draw.io. So I walk you through, and this is one of the sessions we do together. I walk you through from when the customer calls till the money goes in the bank. So it's what's called an end-to-end. Some people call it value stream mapping, but it's an end-to-end map of how your organization works. So if we have an end-to-end map of how your organization works that you've built with me or together with your own group, if you've got that map, it becomes the whole foundation for your entire system. And you can also find steps along the way where there might be an information security risk, if other steps where there might be some health and safety risks, other steps where there might be you may do something that could impact the environment, ISO 14001 risk. So once you've got it mapped, you can figure out all the areas that need to be managed so that you don't do any harm to the environment, harm to your people. You don't make any weak spots for information to be compromised. So this keeps, again, simple, or simplify ISO. So we start with it that anybody can do. And as I say, we will work on something like that together.
Okay.
And then we can also, there's another program that comes with the package. It allows you to put a hotspot or a hyperlink on any one of the boxes on the flowchart. so that you can get to point 6. So let's say purchasing, and you click on the box and it would take you to the purchasing flow chart, maybe even a purchasing form. A lot of my clients already have a purchasing software program in place, but there could be some smaller ones that don't. So it can accommodate both situations, and there's no need ever to duplicate anything that you already have. And that's actually a good place to think of starting, is to do what's called a gap analysis with ISO 9001. And our friend Rick Herman has a gap checklist for
Right.
ISO 9001. We've got 27,001 on the list. We could probably just put a link on the podcast notes to his whole package, his whole suite of gap checklists. So it gives you an idea, and there's explanation in there as well.
Sure. By the way, Jim, we do have the link to the ISO 27001 gap checklist that's on the IMSI website. So if there are additional uh, items that we want to link to, we can certainly do that as well.
Absolutely. The beauty of modern technology, Howard, it's a great way to stretch your mind and also improve activities in your organization for not a whole lot of money.
Right.
So that's where we start.
Okay.
Figure out what it is you want to do, and we're in clause 4 of ISO 9000, all the ISO standards. 9001, 27,001 information security, 14,001 environmental, 45,001 health and safety, and all the rest of them. They all have the same structure. Clause 4 is context, and we have everything you need in the system already to meet the requirements to capture your context, to meet the requirements for interested parties and their requirements, meet the context for, or meet the requirement for defining your scope. And then finally, the one we just talked about.
Okay.
So here's where it gets really exciting. Let's take that clause I mentioned, context. We have on the site a help page for every one of these clauses, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Do we want to start to share the screen and show them
Oh,
as we're going
sure.
along?
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
I can do
Let's
that.
put the video into the podcast. There you go.
Yes. So here's clause 4, as I mentioned, and you can see under this clause, there's a context form. So you just simply open up the context form and fill in the information you need to meet that requirement for the standard.
Okay.
And here's something kind of interesting. We have a help page. You can see this for each one of these requirements.
Hmm.
And on the help page, we have a video for what this clause is all about. And then we give everybody a sample of how they would use artificial intelligence. You create a question like, how would I determine my context for ISO 9001 clause 4.1? We're a home healthcare facility with 5 office staff, 120 caregivers, and 60 clients in Ontario, Canada. We have to meet Ontario health regulations. So if you put that particular question into, for example, ChatGPT, you'll get a lot of information out of the AI that you use, and you can take that information and massage it for your own context right here.
Are we able to demonstrate that now? Just given.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just go back here. I'll go to the
Okay.
help. I'll copy this question.
Hey, before you copy the question,
Yes.
I'm curious, and for our listeners, we are now, we were on the simplifyiso.com website. At the top of the website, there is an introductory video and then a link to go into where we are right now.
Mhm.
And then each one of the videos, if you would click the clause 4.1 intro
Oh,
video just to
yep.
demonstrate and
Absolutely.
display what's
So
available.
let's see how this goes.
So you got like a 6-minute video.
Hello. and welcome to first guidance video for Do It Yourself ISO 9001. And let's take a look at what we'll have in this short video.
Okay, great.
When looking at this clause 4.1 context, and in this clause, you'll see some. All right. So let's go back to.
By the way, I like those glasses. You always you always have the best glasses. All right, so we got the video. We've got some nice, good prompts. So this one of the secrets of AI is asking the right questions, and this is a way to get started.
Yeah, and you and I would also recommend to viewers to make sure that they, for a few times out at least, capture or use more than one AI tool.
Right.
Just to make sure that, and of course, always verify when you can.
Yes.
So here we are. This is the paid version of ChatGPT. And I just paste the question in: how would I determine my context for ISO 9001 clause 4.1? Enter it and notice what comes up. Step by step to help you determine your context for ISO 9001. Doesn't get much better than this, Howard.
I love this.
I could actually say I've actually built myself out of my own career as a consultant with the help of AI.
We're making people's lives a lot more, I'm not going to say easier, but efficient. They need this. And so you might not actually be doing the work, but you're giving them the tools that they can do the work. So,
well, and again, the tragedy I saw since in my career since 1992, or tragedies, has been that people just end up with systems that sound like the words in the standard. They're not specific. They're not specific to them, not specific to their business. And this solves all those issues. And as literally anybody can do it. And then we get together once or twice a month to see how you're coming along. So you're not, it's not literally do it yourself by yourself, but it certainly does make it easier for people to do.
Jim, that actually brings up a question. The DIY, you're going to meet with the client a couple times a month. Over how many months will this effort typically take, and will those one-on-one sessions, what's the duration of time that you'll be doing that typically?
Excellent question. And I don't have a definitive answer. We've got 4 people in the program right now.
Good.
And they all seem to be, we're kind of aiming for 4 months.
Okay.
Give or take. Some will go faster. And some places, or some cases, people already have something that they've already got in the way of some documented procedures and things like that.
Okay.
So it varies, Howard, but it's not going to be like one person will be 3 weeks and another person will be a year and a half. 4 months is going to get people pretty much into it, pretty much started. Maybe this is the flow chart I mentioned. And this particular sample that comes with the package has all the ISO clause numbers in each of the boxes.
Nice.
And so it takes everybody through the whole program. And we also use an Excel spreadsheet with all the clause numbers down the left-hand column. And then a little description of what the requirement is. It's not word for word ISO, but then the next column is you create it here. Then you put a hyperlink on this Excel spreadsheet to where this is. Plus, it helps you keep track of the progress you're making.
Okay.
So that's it for the introduction to this, Howard. This is kind of the background, trying to explain why it's built the way it is and how we think it can help people. And then next time we'll maybe do a few more examples of actually implementing it, and maybe some more examples of how to use AI. And then talk about what kind of evidence you'd have to have in order to get certified before we get to the last one where we'll be talking about that. And we can certainly do a few more clauses, maybe I might pick a few clauses that are slightly more troublesome or
Okay.
difficult than others, just so people can get a good flavor. Oh,
And I like the fact that we can show them how AI can be used to aid in their creation of their particular their standard and what it means to get ready for certification and their processes. And
hmm
I think the more we can share about, especially AI, and you and I have just finished, I don't recall how many episodes we actually did, but the use of
lots.
AI in international standards development, I mean, AI, you can't go anywhere these days without somebody talking about AI. And now here we are actually giving you a way to use AI in a very methodical way uh,
Yeah.
to uh, to use it and to have some success and actually solve a problem that you have, which is how do I get ISO certified? How do we
Yeah.
demonstrate and get prepared for an audit? I wonder if you would do me a favor, Jim, go back and share your screen because we talk
Sure.
about Simplify ISO a lot in our episodes. And if you wouldn't mind, just take them to the Simplify ISO website, the homepage.
Absolutely.
And
Good there.
so again, this page is going to change just a little bit. We've got a video down here that we're going to move a little farther up into the navigation on the homepage. There's the video. But Jim, where do we put our episodes on your website?
Oh, they're right up here under the blog,
Okay.
and there are a number of them there. This one is an earlier one, 27,008.
Right.
And they're also on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn
Okay.
page. So that's one way to get to them. And of course, as you always mention, how are your favorite podcast platforms?
Right.
And we're good to go. So this,
Yeah. Actually, while we're here, well, since we're on since this is a video, do me a favor. Up on the browser, there's three dots on the upper right of the
mhm,
browser. And
yeah,
let's do an incognito window. It's just
right.
to the right of your little photo there. There you go. Click that. Click new incognito window.
Ah, there we go.
And let's just type in Simplify ISO or the ISO Review Podcast. Excuse me.
Oh, okay, good. ISO review. So far, so good.
Podcast. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And okay, so here, but don't click anything yet. So
Nope.
we're on Spotify, Buzzsprout, that's our host, Apple Podcast. So let's go ahead and click on Apple Podcast, for
hmm
example. And this is what the folks are seeing when they come and listen to all of our episodes. And you can see the last one we produced, Annex C and Annex D in ISO 42001 AI Management System Standard. And
hmm
if you go ahead and click on that link, and this is all the show. These are the hyperlinks in the show notes. If you
hmm
scroll down, we should have backlinks. Looks like they don't backlink on Apple, but that's okay. But
Yeah.
so this I thought it'd be kind of cool because we don't usually show the outcome of our podcast.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
All right,
Well,
good.
I hope we got off to a good start for some folks. And by all means, please send in some questions that you might be curious about so we can address them as well. And interestingly enough, unlike megacorps that make software for people, we don't have a team of engineers creating new things. We let our customers tell us what they actually need so that we have what I think is a platform that is based on customer needs instead of software engineer needs and need to come up with stuff new. It continually evolves. And the nice thing is your system isn't the same as the one down the road. It's for you. It's your own system. You can manage it yourself. We have a team here in Ottawa of software engineers that solve any problems that you have, any technical problems. And I won't go into a list of 3,986 features that this has, uh, because none of them really would make sense to you unless you're going to use them yourself. So
Right.
just rest assured that the system can be turned into whatever you need to make your life easy and get certified to ISO, any of the ISO standards, and stay certified.
Right. Perfect. Well, I thought this was a great introduction to this DIY tool and the overview of what got us to this place today. And I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful. And I love the fact we were able to demonstrate towards the end use of AI
Mhm.
to meet one of the documentation and one of the clauses. And we'll do some more of that during our next session as well. And then we'll finally, on our third session, we'll talk about certification and maintenance of being ISO
Yeah.
certified. And I love that. And we actually got to see the website, which we don't usually do. So again, folks, you want to make sure you take a look at the video portion of this episode, which will be up on our YouTube channel. Our podcast, the audio portion of it will be up on the website simplifyiso.com under the blog tab, and then the episodes are up on LinkedIn. And of course, you can get this episode wherever you listen to your podcast from, and we will have a link, which is there almost every episode, to the Simplify ISO website, but we'll actually make it more explicit that if you're interested in this DIY
Mhm.
application, this is where you're going to go. So we hope you found this helpful. Jim, anything you want to share before we head out today?
Oh, no, but thanks for laying the steps out, Howard. If people like what they see, they can see a little bit more on the video there, but by all means, we'll put a button. We'll add a button to the website that says, for more information, contact me. And do one of these we'll do a Zoom call, and we can have you ask as many questions as you'd like about how it works.
Very good. Very good. Well, Jim, thank you again. And for this episode of the ISO Review Podcast, and for our listeners, as a reminder, just go out to simplifyiso.com. And the ISO Review Podcast is a production of Simplify ISO. And we look forward to having you join us on the next episode. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a phenomenal day. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care now.